What's up, guys? Welcome back to the Mike Check Podcast. This is T Word, the People's Champ. Thanks for tapping in. Today, we're going to be talking about Teofimo Lopez and Josh Taylor in their fight that took place on Saturday, June 10th in New York. Before we get into the video, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. We appreciate your feedback. All right, so let's go ahead and get into it. And man, is Teo back? I want to be the first to say that I was definitely wrong in my prediction. I saw Josh Taylor as a much more formidable opponent for Teofimo, and it actually didn't play out that way. In fact, it was much of the opposite. I thought Josh Taylor would dominate him specifically with infighting, making it a little bit dirty, getting on the inside and roughing Teo up, being that he's a much bigger person. But when the fight started, it was kind of back and forth. Now, let me say this. On the one hand, I feel like Teo did dominate throughout, because he controlled the action and he did all the things he wanted to do. And I felt like Josh Taylor only did what he was kind of allowed to do. And I thought the scorecards, the 115 and 113, were reflective of the type of fight it was. Early on, I had it back and forth, one round Teo, one round Taylor. But Teo's rounds were very clear wins, and Taylor's rounds were kind of like close, like 50-50 rounds where it's like, I'm going to edge it his way. So from the beginning, it just felt like Teo had a game plan. His pops had given it out in advance. They were going to box, and he showed to be a boxer. He took limited risk early on, and then later in the fight, he started to style a little bit, and he was like the Teo of old. It was a really interesting dynamic playing out because I just thought that the bigger fighter would impose his will on the smaller fighter, the guy coming up to 140. And I thought that was a major concern for Teo at this weight class. While I don't think the power has carried necessarily, I think he showed that he's got enough to keep some of the tougher opponents off him. It doesn't hurt that Josh Taylor didn't really threaten him with power either. So when you start to put all these pieces of the puzzle together, you can understand how this outcome was. Now, I didn't agree with the one scorecard. I think it was like 117, 111. I didn't feel the fight was lopsided in any way. I just felt like Teo's rounds were clear and evident, and Josh Taylor's rounds were kind of on the borderline, so you could edge it either way. But that just seems like, a big gap. Like, you're basically saying Josh Taylor only won like 3 rounds or something like that. I'll do the math in a minute. But it just that doesn't make sense to me. I absolutely believe that he won a good 5 rounds, no less than 4. And I don't know that he gave the best showing of himself. This is a true former undisputed champion who I can't say that he looks like he was past it, but I'm starting to think the Catterall fight and then the injuries have caught up with him. But I don't want to take away from what Teo did, so I'm not going to indulge that idea. Maybe we'll talk about that in a separate video. What we're focusing on is what Teofimo did well. And I was a very big detractor going in. I even made a video about his mental state going in. And maybe this was a situation where he was able to channel his hardships and, for lack of a better term, demons, and turn it into a pretty solid performance in boxing. Sometimes you see that. You see where, a guy is going through something personally, and then he go out there and just has the most amazing performance, whether it's overcoming a tragedy, whatever. And it looks like Teo was able to lock in. And I mean, I had my doubts about his mental state, even moments before he went to the ring, when they were doing backstage stuff and you could see weird stuff going on in the locker room, whatever. It was just like, what is this? And then he goes in the ring and he performed well. I thought he was smart. He boxed, he set up shots. And then later in the fight, when he felt comfortable, like, okay, Josh isn't going to hurt me, and I could get dirty with him, and I can stick and move, and I can get in and out, and I can snap his head back. When he started to do that, you saw that old version start to bubble back to the surface, and the confidence was just through the roof. And one thing you don't want to be across the ring from is a confident Teofimo Lopez, and Josh Taylor found himself in that position. And down the stretch, I mean, the back half of the fight, I think it went 4-2 on my cards. I would have to go back and look exactly. But at one point, I had it 4-3 Taylor. And then from there, Teo just took control. He showed the promise and the grit that made him a star to begin with. So shout out to him. Again, I'm a man that stands on my word, and I will eat crow when it's due. And I'm going to eat that crow and say that I'm really surprised by this win by Teofimo. Is he back? Has yet to be seen. Would love to see him in Ever Regis Prograde, or Matias, Super Matias, and just see how it goes against some of the bigger punchers at the weight class and see what they do with him and see how he responds to getting cracked. And if he can have that same grit, if he's having to be on the back foot instead of being able to be the aggressor. But one last thing I'm gonna throw in, I'm gonna close this video. Another thing I saw was they was putting the belts on T.O. before the cards were even announced. So that was weird. Like the judges' scorecards hadn't been announced, and they was giving him the ring belts, and he had 2 WBO belts because he's a former champ, so he could bring that stuff to the ring. He's putting on all these belts and shit, and I'm like, what are you doing? Then they show Josh Taylor actually notice it, and if I'm lucky, if you're watching this, you're seeing the clip because I was able to get a screen record of it. So you're seeing what I'm talking about. But Josh Taylor realized they're giving this dude my damn belts, and we haven't even got the cards yet. But anyway, I thought that was an interesting thing. But you guys let me know what you think. This has been T for the Mic Check Podcast. Until next time, I'm out. Peace.